Understand the dilemma, can't you, when you think about it? There have, of course, Harry and Meghan now banking everything on their final throw of the dice with their biggest paymaster, Netflix. This, of course, let's not forget, is a company that Prince Harry said he wouldn't have signed with Netflix in the beginning if he didn't require the money for security and basic living costs because King Charles had cut him off financially. That was proven to be an outright lie. But then again, if you were Netflix, you kind of just bite the bullet now and think, let's just get on with something. That's exactly what they're trying to do with this Meet Me at the Lake project. But as ever, there are developing stories around that really just mystify everybody who could be assigned. No details of who's been assigned yet, but they're putting together, shall we say, the dominoes in place. Let me explain. Good morning, Neil Sean here. Nice to see you. We'll have a wave today. You're right, yes. By the way, a lot of people were saying, oh, didn't I recognize or notice, of course, the sad passing of the greatest rock and roller of them all, certainly the biggest, Elvis Presley. Sometimes, I know it sounds awful, I don't necessarily like to dwell on that, simply because you do kind of think, don't you, it's a little bit sad, and I like to remember them in the moment that they are. There's simply no doubt that Elvis shaped the world. And as I say, I was lucky enough to meet his daughter, Lisa Marie, and of course his wife, again, Priscilla Presley. Lovely people, lovely lady, sad loss, of course, with Lisa Marie. But Elvis, absolutely, up there with simply the best. What a performer. What a look as well. And I don't know if you find this, but his look remains modern, even if you took the hair away, which obviously is a bit 1950s. When you see him in the latter parts in the 60s, he still looks very young. And I don't mean physically, I mean he would fit into today. Don't get the AI people on that. Yes, you know what it's like. Back as ever to your breaking roll story of the day. What's interesting here is, as we know, Meet Me at the Lake is going to be the big project from Harry and Meghan. This is the thing where they're going to be executive producers making their foray into the big screen, small stream, streaming, whatever you want to call it. And when you saw Prince Harry over in Japan recently, alongside his good chum Nacho Figueras, I think that's how you pronounce his name. What a good-looking fella he is. So good-looking, in fact, that he was discovered by the photographer Bruce Weber and very quickly snapped up by Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren, the designer, and of course, for many people who can afford it, those brilliant aftershaves. I used to love them, but way too out of my price range now, But it's interesting because he's also an actor, also good chums with Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. You see how the relationships develop now. What's interesting, though, we can tell you first and exclusive on the show, is that Prince Harry had something of a light bulb moment over in Japan, allegedly. And what's interesting here is that actually it would create quite a few waves. According to a well-placed source at Archwell, Harry thinks that there could be a role for Nacho in that movie, Meet Me at the Lake. Doesn't have to be a big role, but he believes that given the fact he's considered to be the David Beckham of the polo world, and polled higher than Brad Pitt and Robert Pattinson in the men that women still find desirable poll, there is one, then of course they feel that he could have certain cachet to it. Now, I've been told by a well-placed source that Meghan Markle likes Nacho for now. But as you know, if he has way too much influence or indeed changes the direction of her plot and her movie and her mindset, things could be a little bit tricky. What I do find interesting to note is that if they go for stunted casting, and let's be honest, he's not an international name, only by association of friendship with Prince Harry, it may or may not work. But either way, both Harry and Meghan need to throw everything at this particular production. And what's the betting that the very good-looking Nacho, who could draw in a certain audience in a certain territory, may just pop up in a particular role? Well, that's what Harry would like, at least. Meghan remains to be convinced. It's a developing story, and when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.